Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. During the declared emergency in the City of Toronto, Committee of Adjustment virtual public hearings are being conducted by electronic means through WebEx, an online digital platform, and streamed on the Toronto City Planning YouTube channel. These measures are necessary to comply with physical distancing requirements and a provincial order limiting attendance at public gatherings. This will be a virtual public hearing, and participants who have registered in advance will be able to make their presentations to the committee using WebEx, an online event that is being moderated by city staff. Anyone wishing to view the hearing may do so by watching on YouTube. Participants who have registered in advance will be connecting either by their computer, a phone, or tablet app, or by telephone. All participants will automatically be muted on entry. When your item is called, each participant will be unmuted by the moderator, one person at a time. Only the committee members will be participating by video. Any registered participants will be participating by audio only. We ask that you also mute your devices until you are called on to speak. To ensure audio clarity, I also suggest that you refrain from using the speakerphone function on your telephones. We acknowledge that the land we are meeting on is the traditional territory of many nations, including the Mississaugas of the Credit, the Anishinaabe, the Chippewa, the Haudenosaunee, and the Wendat peoples, and is now home to many diverse First Nations, Inuit, and Métis peoples. We also acknowledge that Toronto is covered by Treaty 13 with the Mississaugas of the Credit. In accordance with Sections 45 and 53 of the Planning Act 1990 as amended, this meeting of the Committee of Adjustment of the City of Toronto is called to order. My name is Alan Smithies, and I will chair today's meeting. Joining us on the panel today are Nadini Sankar Peralta, Paul Kidd, and Ron Hunt. City staff are also present: Daniel Antonacci, Kelly Reed, and Adam Wills. The Committee of Adjustment considers applications for variances from the provisions of the zoning bylaw that apply to property, permission to extend or alter lawful non-conforming uses, and consent to sever property to create new lots. Anyone in attendance today who wants to receive a copy of the committee's decision on an application must submit a written request for a decision by email. Please ensure that you include your name, address, and email address, because Committee of Adjustment and the TLAB will be sending notifications and appeal updates by email. If you do not agree with a committee's decision, decisions may be appealed to the Toronto Local Appeal Body, TLAB, or in some limited circumstances to the Local Planning Appeal Tribunal. Appeal instructions are set out at the bottom of the committee's decision. The hearing procedure is as follows. I will call each item in the order listed on the agenda. Where an application is uncontested, the agent or applicant will proceed with their presentation if required. The committee may ask questions and/or take the matter into the committee for a decision. Each speaker, including the applicant or agent, is given a maximum of 5 minutes to address the committee. I will comment when you are reaching the 5-minute limit. When addressing the committee, please state clearly your name and address. Please remember to confine your remarks to the matters described in the application. The applicant or agent will proceed first and will make a presentation to the committee of the application. Please note that the committee may not entertain revisions to proposals at the hearing today. To ensure that a revised application is accurate and all those entitled to notice of the application are informed of the changes, the committee may decide to defer the application if it is substantially revised. Then, individuals either in support or opposed to the application are invited to speak. Committee members may ask questions of each speaker after they have finished their presentation. When all speakers are finished, the applicant or agent has an opportunity to rebut only those issues that were raised by the speakers. This will mark the end of discussion on this item. The application is taken into committee for a decision. Mr. Wills, do you know if we have any minutes to adopt?
We can confirm with the Secretary, Deputy Secretary Daniel Antonacci about that.
Okay, that's fine.
No, there are no minutes. There are no minutes to adopt.
Okay, there are none. Okay, thank you. Are there any declarations of conflict of interest that the members would like to declare? Being none, thank you very much. We'll now proceed to the first item on our agenda, which is item number 1, 554 Brock Avenue. I have 5 people registered to speak, and the agent is a Mr. Greg Bender. Are you there, sir?
I am, Mr. Chair, yes.
Yes, thank you very much, sir. If you could give us I'd just like to notify the committee, we have no staff comments or recommended conditions from any staff agency on this particular application. But Mr. Bender, if you could give us a brief presentation on what you see as the merits of your proposal.
Certainly. And then just note that I'm the owner as well. My agent has deferred his place to speak for me.
Okay, thank you. So you can.
So good morning, Mr. Chairman. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Chair. And thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the committee for the opportunity.
Just before you start, sir, can I get your full name and address?
I was just going to get into that. So my name is Greg Bender, and my wife and I, Danielle, are the owners of 554 Brock Avenue.
Okay, thank you.
The reason why we're looking to Certainly. The reason why we're looking to expand is because we only have a 2-bedroom house. 1 bedroom is now an office thanks to the pandemic because I have to work from home. I will note that we did a significant amount of due diligence to determine what we needed versus perhaps what the max and what the floor plate could allow. We're proposing what we are going to do or proposing to do is quite modest. Primarily because we really don't want to impact our neighbors, and we wanted to do something that's contextually appropriate that wouldn't stand out, say, in their neighborhood. In response to the variances being sought, I just wanted to run through these very quickly. So the proposed front yard setback is 1.34 meters, and just to note that the requirement in the bylaw is 3.38. Noting that this is existing, we obviously can't move the house, and this house has been here for quite a long time. The proposed FSI is 0.83, which is an increase from 0.6 in the bylaw. Note that this is needed to accommodate the expansion. We do have a small lot. It's 15 feet wide. So to be honest, virtually anything would require a variance. And note that the FSI is still, a good deal below 1, which is often considered a common threshold between something minor and then perhaps something a bit more major. The proposed front yard soft landscaping area, the variance being sought is 0%, notwithstanding the fact that our entire front yard is comprised of soft landscaping. And we really don't have any intention of changing that. And the last variance being sought is in relation to the height of the sidewalls. We need an exemption for their height by 0.8 meters or 2.5 feet. And again, that's needed to accommodate the proposal. But do note that our roof line is not changing, and as a result of the height of the walls, there will be no shadow or overlook as a result. Just to summarize a few things that, we certainly are not taking the full length of the roof, which I've been told by our contractor, it is certainly a lot easier from a construction perspective, but we really only want to do what we need. As you're likely well aware, committee, the official plan does speak to minimizing undue impacts, and just to summarize that we are actually not creating any undue impacts. There will be no overlook, there's no shadow, there's no nearby windows for us to perhaps increase views into. We're not raising the roof line. And even the proposed addition, we've worked with our designer to step it back and angle the roof so you can minimize any visibility from the backyard. I wanted to note that there are 3-story houses as close as 3 houses away at 560 and 562. There are 3-story houses all along Brock Avenue, and really, to be honest, all across the city of Toronto. Almost every house in this area, and perhaps across the city, has a different look and feel, and that's what makes these areas very unique. And we just want to note that, as you mentioned, there has been no report from city planning identifying any issues. And Mr. Chair, that concludes my presentation. I'm happy to take any questions.
Okay, thank you, sir. I just wanted to ask a question. I noticed that you have no variance for overall height, and the height variances you do have relate to the exterior main walls, the height of the exterior main walls. What accounts for those variances with respect to the exterior main wall height? How is it? Where is that? Is it just along the entire length of the building, or is it just at certain portions?
It's just at the back of the. I can't show you, but in one of the plans, it's just at the rear of the property for the extension.
Okay, thank you. Does the committee have any further questions of the speaker? There being none, oh, Mr. Hunt?
Yes. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Bitter, on your variance number 2, expanding the MSI or FSI from 0.6 to 0.83, does that increase wholly within the envelope of your existing home?
Through you, Mr. Chair, to Committee Member Hunt, yes, it is only within the existing footprint of the home.
Okay, thank you. Any further questions of the
thank you.
speaker? There being none, we'll move to the next speaker on our list. I have a Christopher Kilger. Are you there, sir? Mr. Kilger, are you there? Yes, sir. Can I get your full name and address, please?
Oh, sure. Christopher Kilger of 550 Brock Avenue.
Okay, thank you. Can you please give us your thoughts on this proposed application, please?
Yeah, it's good to see a homeowner like deciding to expand their house in the neighborhood and staying put rather than moving to a larger, maybe suburb area. And looking at the plans, it does look like minimal changes will be appearing from the street side. So really don't have any problems, and it's good for the neighborhood, people putting money into their homes and increasing their value and therefore our neighborhood value. That's what I want to say.
But Mr. Kilger, you're very hard to hear. It sounds like you're speaking from the bottom of a tin can. Are you speaking into your, are you using a speakerphone?
No, sorry, I'm over my,
Okay,
my
all right,
laptop.
thank you.
I'm out of town.
Okay, please proceed.
Okay, I just wanted to say that we are for allowing this to go ahead as we see it bringing value to the neighborhood. And it's good to see homeowners putting money into their house to stay put rather than moving to another location. And it's just no problems with it at all.
Okay, sir. Any further comments?
No, just no objections to the innovation.
Okay, thank you, sir. Does the committee have any questions of the speaker? There being none, we'll move to the next speaker on the list, Antonika Quitalo. I hope I pronounced that right. Madam, are you there? Antonika Quitalo, are you there?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Can I get your full name and address, please?
Yeah, my name is Eric Suarez. I'm my grandmother, who is Antonika Catalo's grandson, and she resides at 556 Brock.
Okay, thank you. If you would like to give us your views on this application?
Yeah, I'm just here to relay the message that my grandmother and her daughter, which is my aunt, are all for the construction and the expansion of Mr. Gregg's house. The only thing we just want to make sure is that nothing structurally affects, or there's no structural implications taken on our household. But other than that, we're all for it.
Okay, thank you very much, sir. It's good to hear. Is there any questions of the speaker? There being none, I'll move to the next person on the list. I have a Mr. Don Hall. Are you there, sir? Mr. Hall, are you there?
Mr. Chair, one moment while I check the call-in users.
Oh, is not there?
Just let me check the call-in users first, and then I'll... Mr. Chair, it appears Don Hall is not present.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Wills. I'll move to the next person on the list. I have next person is Gong Zin Zhu. Are you there?
Mr. Chair, they haven't registered via WebEx, but let me check their call-in numbers.
Okay, thank you. No luck, Mr. Wills?
One moment. Okay, Mr. Chair, he is live.
Okay.
Hello, Mr. Chair. Can you hear me?
Mr. Gong Zin Zhu, are you there?
Hello, Mr. Chair.
Yes, hello. Can I get your full name and address, please?
Yes, my name is Gong Xin Xu, 552 Brock Avenue.
Okay, thank you. If you can give us your views on this application, please?
Yes, for sure. So I come here to oppose the minor variance application at 554 Brock Avenue. As indicated in my objection letter, the request represents a general disregard to the prevailing physical character and the streetscape along Brock Avenue. I'll make the following points to further demonstrate the proposed side wall height variance is neither minor nor desirable, and it does not meet the intent of zoning bylaws and the official plan. First of all, 554 Brock Avenue is an interior part of the row house section on this street. Allowing this house to extend to the proposed side wall height would destroy the prevailing physical character that is predominantly row house and the uniformity that has been stable and maintained for more than 100 years. The addition will completely disrupt the continuation of the streetscape along Brock Avenue. The figures 1 to 4 in my objection letter demonstrate the predominant row house built form pattern on this street. The 3-story houses on this street do not constitute a built form pattern. Secondly, the proposed development will introduce a tall box-like structure atop the section of the row house. This box on top of the roof is in stark contrast to the peaked dormer architectural design pattern along the street. The house and row house on the street have front-facing peaked dormer designs. This prevailing design pattern appears very frequently on this street and is demonstrated in many pictures in my written submission. The 3D pictures submitted by the agent show that the proposed development appears to be a dormer that extends the width of the lot without the benefit of the peaked roof characteristic. Nowhere along Brock Avenue is this type of massing introduced. Furthermore, the 3D pictures do not match with the submitted building plan drawings in terms of the width of the house, the addition's proportion, location, and the exterior sidewall height. The 3D pictures grossly misrepresent the addition in relation to surrounding buildings and are extremely misleading. The 3D pictures are also not qualified by any approving signatures or authorities. Thirdly, 554 Brock Avenue is among many row houses that share similar floor space index on this street. For more than 100 years, many families, generation after generation, have lived on this street harmoniously and enjoyed their properties because of the neighborhood prevailing character, built form pattern, generously deep lots that form a unique fabric in the neighborhood. The proposed addition will break this very fabric and is considered not desirable by many adjacent and surrounding neighbors. Last but not the least, it is important to note that the 3rd-story addition will not be constructed to the original house. 554 Brock Avenue had undergone significant renovations in 2013 without building permits and inspections. The property is already structurally compromised. I want to point out that my mother was a university professor with nearly 20 years experience in civil engineering, and my father has more than 35 years experience as a structural engineer. I am a professional engineer in Ontario. It is our professional and educated opinion to express serious concerns over safety because the common wall between the two properties is already damaged from previous renovations and wall cracks are visible from inside. The addition will impose fear, anxiety, and cause significant adverse impact on my mother's mental and physical health. I would also like to add that as an adjacent neighbor to 554 Brock Avenue, we were totally surprised with the minor variance application and were never consulted on this. I would like to hear from the agent why this addition is minor and desirable and keeps the intent of zoning bylaws and the official plan. Because for the life of me, in no way this addition can be considered as minor and desirable. Mr. Chair and committee members, I thank you for taking the time to listen to me and considering my objections in your decision. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, sir. Any questions of the speaker? There being none, we'll go back to the agent. Mr. Bender, are you there?
I'm here, Mr. Chair.
Yes, sir. You've heard the comments from the previous speakers. If you'd like to comment, if you'd like to address them, please.
Certainly, and I did my best, Mr. Chair, through my presentation to identify the variances being requested, which is really what we're here to talk about today. I summarized in my presentation why they're minor, the basis why I feel they're minor. I think the big impact could be if the roof line was changing, which it is not. Essentially putting windows on the front of a house, I don't feel is any change in character whatsoever. And the majority of the work is going to be pushed to the back, as noted in our conversation and noted in the plans. As it relates to the discussion about the graphics being misrepresented from the actual drawings, I did not prepare those. My understanding is that they are all based on the same designs. Obviously, the committee is well aware that we'd still have to go through building permit process, which would address any particular issues as it relates to structure or any impacts on any neighbors. And as I mentioned, it is not our intent to impact our neighbors through this. Certainly, construction will happen, but we don't want any impacts on our neighbors' property. I can't speak to any permits that have been received before, notwithstanding the fact that this is not part of the minor variance discussion. We moved in back in 2014 after construction had completed on this property, so I cannot speak to that. But just want to know that we have done our best to speak to all of our neighbors. As you can imagine, there's a relationship issue between 552 and ourselves at 554. But we have done our best to speak to our neighbors to address any particular issues that they may have.
Okay, thank you, sir. Does the committee have any questions of the speaker? Mr. Hunt?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Bender, I just want to go back to my original question because there seems to be a significant divergence between the gentleman that was in opposition, and that is, my question was, is everything within the building envelope as it exists today? Because what I heard was that this is going to be an add-on at the back of the home.
No, through you, Mr. Chair, to Committee Member Hunt. No, everything is absolutely contained within, just right on top of the existing building. In this plan submitted, we fully intend on essentially keeping most of the construction within the existing attic, and well, that's helpful. And we have two flat roofs at the back. The projection to the rear from the existing roof line is merely half or thereabouts the first flat roof.
Okay, so what you see visually from the street or from the exterior view is not going to be any different after.
So what we're proposing at the front are just a few windows and a small, I guess, extension. Some might call it a dormer at the front. But for the most part, the majority of the expansion is at the back, which nobody will see from the street.
All right. Thank
That's
you very
perfect.
much.
Yeah.
No, I see. Yours is the red?
Correct.
Okay. And it appears that to the right of that picture, there are similar dormers.
Correct. I'm not an architect, but yes.
I'm just speaking visually. Thank you very much.
Yep.
Thank you, Mr. Hunt. Any further questions of the speaker? Could I get a motion on this application, please? Just to note again, there are no recommended condition or comments from city staff. Mr. Hunt?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I've listened to the applicant. I've listened to those in favor and those in opposition. And given that there are no express concerns from any city departments, I am going to move to approve this application as requested.
Thank you, Mr. Hunt. Someone to second Mr. Hunt's motion? Ms. Sankar seconds. All those in favor? That motion carries. Sir, your application's been unanimously approved without condition. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the committee. I appreciate your time.
Thank you very much. Item number 2, 163 GALT Avenue. I have one person registered to speak, and that is the agent, Suman Gale. I hope I pronounced that correctly. Are you there?
Yes, it's me. Yeah.
Can I get your full name and address, sir?
Yes, Sumon Gill, 163 Galt Avenue. Just me. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, sir. It's, we have the application before us. I note that there are no comments from or recommended conditions from any city agency. The application you have before us is I think, very clear to the committee. I have 3 variances before us. I'll just ask the committee if it would like a presentation or it has any questions. Okay, there being none, and we have no other persons registered to speak. If I could get a motion on this application, please. Ms. Sankar?
Yes, through you, Mr. Chair. Looking at this application, it really does feel that it is minor in nature and desirable for the appropriate development of the land. So I'll put forward a motion to approve this application.
Thank you, Ms. Sankar. Someone to second that motion? Mr. Hunt seconds. All those in favor? That motion carries unanimously. Sir, your application's been unanimously approved without condition. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for the committee. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Ready.
Item number 3, we have 2 St. Anne's Road. I have one person registered to speak, a John Zhang. He's the agent, and I have no other persons registered to speak on this item. Mr. Zhang, are you there?
Yes, good morning, Mr. Chair and committee members.
Okay, thank you, sir. It's, we note you have one variance before us for a variance on a parking space length. We have the
Yes.
only recommended conditions we have from city staff relate to urban forestry. Pretty clear what you're asking for in the variance. I'll just ask the committee if it has any questions or comments or if it would like a presentation. There being none, can we get a motion on this application, please? Mr. Hunt?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This appears to be a very straightforward application. It meets the 4 tests, and there being no concerns expressed by departments other than the standard urban forestry conditions, I would move approval of this application.
Thank you, Mr. Hunt. Someone to second Mr. Hunt's motion? Mr. Kidd seconds. All those in favor? That motion carries unanimously. Thank you very much. Sir, your application's been unanimously approved, subject to urban forestry conditions.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, sir. Item number 4, 22 COOLMINE Road. I have one person registered to speak, Alan Bain. He is the agent. Sir, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Yes, thank you, sir. I just wanted to advise the committee that there are no city comments or recommended conditions from any city staff agency on this application. Sir, it's very clear what you're I think the committee is very clear on what you're asking for with respect to the 3 variances before us. I'll just ask the committee if it has any questions or comments or would like a presentation. Mr. Kidd?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just have a question about the stairwell in the front of the building. And
Yes.
it appears that the proposal involves building the stairwell on the city property. Have you had any kind of discussion with the city regarding the stairwell and what's involved in getting permission for that?
We've submitted the drawings to the city, and we've had no indication that there will be any issues with this. The existing soft landscaping on our property is elevated by several feet. There's an existing retaining wall. I believe that the stairs entrance into that basement apartment will only consist of about 3 risers, which will be placed into soft landscaping.
Okay, sir. Any further questions of the speaker? Sir, just a question. The basement walkout, is it contained within the, I'm looking at the plan here and it was kind of puzzling.
Yes.
Is it entirely within the municipal road allowance?
No, the basement entrance is on the back, on the front wall of the house. On the drawing that you had placed, it shows the drawing there shows the front porch. The entrance to the basement is actually further in, all the way to the front wall.
That's what I thought. So there's
Existing
actually nothing that's on the
foundation wall.
municipal road allowance.
No.
Okay, thank you. Any further questions of the speaker? Again, we have no other persons registered to speak on this item. If I could get a motion on this application, please. Ms. Sankar?
Yeah, through you, Mr. Chair. I think through review of this application, it does seem to meet the 4 tests from my review. So I'll put forward a motion to approve this application.
Someone to second Ms. Sankar's motion? Mr. Hunt seconds. All those in favor? That motion carries unanimously. Sir, your application's been approved without condition, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. Chair.
Item number 5, 189 Cowan Avenue. I have one person registered to speak. That's Mr. Howard Dixon. Are you there, sir?
Yes, good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee.
Thank you, sir. I just wanted to ask before we start, have you had the opportunity to read the report from City Planning dated the 19th of October? They appear to be okay with your application, but they're recommending that the rear second-story balcony shall be constructed with opaque private screening or fencing that is permanent, located along the north and south edges of the platform to a minimum height of 1.5 meters measured from the floor of the balcony. Have you had the opportunity to read that report, sir?
I have, sir, and we responded to Miss Emily Greco of the Planning Department that the applicant agrees and will comply with that recommendation.
Okay, thank you very much. I note that we have just one variance before us relating to building depth. I'll just ask the committee, I think the committee's pretty clear what you're asking for, but I'll just ask if they have any questions or would like some further clarification. There being none, and I note to the committee we have no other persons registered to speak on this item, so if I could get a motion on the application, please. Mr. Kidd?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I think given the existing conditions, the existing layout of the property, this is a minor and appropriate proposal. I'd like to put forward a motion to accept the application, subject to the condition that the rear second-story balcony will be constructed with opaque privacy screening or fencing that's permanent, located along the north and south edges of the platform to a minimum height of 1.5 meters measured from the floor of the balcony.
Thank you, Mr. Kidd. Someone to second that motion? Ms. Sankar seconds. All those in favor? That motion carries unanimously, sir. Your application's been unanimously approved, subject to city planning conditions, sir.
Thank you very much,
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman and members of the committee.
Thank you, sir. Have a good day. Item number 6, 82 Indian Road. I have an agent, and there's actually 4 people registered to speak, three people registered to speak. One is the agent, Alfred Agapon. I hope I've pronounced that correctly. Sir, are you there?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Can I get your full name and address, please?
All right. My name is Alfred Agapon, and my full address is 87 Wagner Crescent, Angus, Ontario.
Okay, thank you, sir. Just before we start, I just want to notify the committee that we have no recommended conditions or comments from any city division. But in view of the fact that we have speakers who are interested in this item, sir, if you could give us a presentation on what you see as the merits of your application.
Okay, sir. Well, I will start off by saying that this particular issue that we have currently right now, been available or it's been around over 53 years ago. And it already been in committee of adjustment about 30 years before. That was back in 1997. It came to committee of adjustment. And it didn't get approval because of complaints and other stuff that had happened. So everything was just left undone. And as the time went on, my client, who I'm representing now, bought this property back in 2017. And he wanted to bring everything to code because he realized that there was city complaints and complaints from neighbors all over. So he wanted to work on the property to see if he can solve this issue. So I asked if we can actually take a two-phase process to get this whole application going, whereby we obtained the building permit back in 2018-17 to actually do the alterations and gotten everything done. And then we were looking forward to getting to this particular phase that we are at right now with the members right now. But due to parking issues, which already the lot size does not permit at all, it's always going to be one. But the rest seems to be an issue that is pre-existing. City being called numerous amount of time to this particular property, and the new owner is just tired of having the same issues over and over. So we wanted to see if you guys could give us a permission to actually allow for the basement to be a dwelling unit, which is basically complies to all the codes, the building codes and everything. It's all there. They've been granted parking on streets. So they have street parking for some of the tenants, and it hasn't been that much of a big issue based on what I've been advised by the owner.
Okay, thank you, sir.
That's how I was. No problem, sir.
Thank you, sir. Any questions of the speaker? Mr. Kidd?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just wanted to ask, is the basement apartment currently being occupied?
They kind of had a family friend living there, but that's what I've been advised of.
So has this been a long-standing situation? Has it been the occupancy of the basement?
Yep, it's been over 53 years of this going back and forth. So it's a pretty old file, and we wanted to see if we can get this resolved because it's been a continuous issue over and over for the same property with the same issue. Whilst it has 3 legal apartments in there, but the 4th one, which happens to be the basement, is not being permitted. Is being told to get used with the first floor as part of the conjunction that the city had given us prior before. But the new owner wanted to just separate it and just resolve the issue that has been outstanding for quite a long time.
Okay, sir.
I'm sorry, just so I'm clear. The basement apartment has been used for approximately 50 years?
Yeah, that's how far back it predates, yes.
Thank you.
Sir, I just wanted to ask, the plan you submitted to the committee, the one parking space that you have in the rear yard, I'm looking at it, it might comply with the dimensional requirements, but it's basically inaccessible. You can't, it would be very difficult to get in and out of this parking space. Is that correct? Is it used?
The parking is being used, but it's just we can't accommodate any more cars because of they try to comply with everything by having the rear yard green space, and also for the fire escape from the 3rd floor goes all the way there too. So, and then there's a walkout also at the back over there. So there's a lot of activities happening in there.
All right, thank you. Any further questions of the speaker? We'll move to the next person on our next deputant. It's R. Davis. Are you there?
Mr. Chair and members, there is no R. Davis listed on our list.
Okay, thank you. I had him listed here, Mr. R. Davis.
He's on the list, but he has not called in
Okay,
and registered
thank you, Mr.
as an R. Davis.
Okay, our next person on the list is Randy Chamberlain. Are you there? Randy Chamberlain, are you there?
Yes, I am.
Yes, sir. Hello.
Can you hear me?
Can I get your full name and address, please? Sir, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, Mr. Chamberlain. Can I get your full name and address, and please speak, you may have to speak up.
Okay. My name is Randall Chamberlain, and I live at 86 Indian Road. That's 2 houses north of the subject property. And by the way, Mr. Davis, the one who you just couldn't get a hold of, he's my next door neighbor. We've been talking this morning, waiting to get onto this call. So we're calling him now to get back in.
Sir, we're having trouble hearing you. Can you speak up a bit, please?
Is that better?
Yes, yeah, if you can speak up.
Okay, one sec. There, sorry, I had it on
That's
speakerphone.
better, thank you.
Is that better? All right. So my name is Randall Chamberlain, and I have owned and resided at 86 Indian Road for the last 20 years. And we're 2 houses north of the subject property. May I continue?
Yes, thank you. Please proceed.
All right, thanks for the opportunity to speak about legalizing this illegally built 4th apartment in the basement. Just a comment, first of all, to the presentation by the applicant, saying the basement has been occupied for 50 years. It has never been occupied in my knowledge. And I knew the house, the owner there before. He had applied for 4th apartment and it was turned down by the Committee of Adjustments. And that was 23 years ago, and it's never been occupied. And also the tenant or the owner, he was told he could not put a 4th unit in there by the building and zoning inspectors. He did it anyway. And then the inspectors wanted to come and inspect it, so he moved all the furniture out that day. And the inspector left, and he moved it all back in, and he has a tenant living in that apartment, contrary to the orders from the city. And he's currently being prosecuted by the city for that. Anyway, this house has been a problematic house since we moved in 2000. As neighbors, we've been plagued by noisy tenants, late night parties, a high turnover rate, lack of property maintenance. You'll see a lot of violations on the city zoning or property standards for these people. They've never cut the lawns or anything. It was like 6 foot tall weeds and grass. This is a quiet, upscale family neighborhood, and what we don't want to see is a problem triplex becoming a problem fourplex. Firstly, I'll address the different points. Is the request minor? Currently, the secondary suites combined for 40 to 45% of the request is to raise that to 70%. That's an increase of about 55% over what they have. And I would think that a 10% increase could be considered minor, but a 55% increase is just outrageous. Also, looking at the GFA or GFCA with the variance, they'd be at 1.6 times the lot size, according to the applicant's figures on their drawings. It's also not minor when most houses on the street meet the 60.69 GFCA. It's too high a density for a small semi-detached house. Secondly, is it desirable? It says nobody living in the neighborhood wants to see this as a high-density semi-detached house full of apartments. Many of the houses here are larger and can accommodate a higher density, but not this one. Since there's a glut of apartments and rental accommodations in the city, probably as a result of COVID, there's no pressing need for more units in High Park. Those in support on the letters of support went and looked at them all. There's not a single one that's closer than 600 feet to the subject property. And many of the people there, we know them, they're tenants in those buildings. They have no property rights there. And their support for this is actually meaningless. They have to go an awful long way to get any support on this. The neighborhood is mostly R1 with a few properties with a higher density zoning. Adding fourplexes will further dilute the neighborhood of its single-family nature. Also, the application mentions there's a legal parking spot on the property, and this is not the case. The previous owner to them, 3.5 years ago, before he sold the property, cut down several trees at the rear of the property to open access to that parking spot. And I've seen the deeds of these properties, and 82 Indian Road does not have a legal access to that laneway to begin with. So they're not short one lot spot. I think they're short 2. And the spot that's there is actually a bit too small. They would need a Committee of Adjustments approval to get that spot in there as well. Fourth, is it consistent? The official plan protects the character and integrity of neighborhoods, and this neighborhood is a family-oriented, leafy, quiet, bucolic corner of the city next to High Park and the lakefront, where the vast majority of houses are single-family with some rentals thrown in. This is not a high-density rental neighborhood like you find on Bloor Street along where the subway stations are, where it's desirable. Please don't allow this to become a standard in our neighborhood. The area has a great reputation for a country-like, low-density family setting. 82 Indian Road is a small, semi-detached family home, not suitable for the current proposed use of 4 units. And in general, I don't agree with property owners who buy and rent a rental property, do illegal renovations, adding suites, and then sell the house and move on. There's a plague in this kind of activity in the city, and it destroys neighborhoods. The owner has already listed this property a couple of months ago and sold it during his application process, but the deal had fallen through apparently on the cost to implement all the fire protection needed for a fourth unit, because the fire protections are much stronger once you hit 4 units.
30 seconds, sir. Can you summarize?
Yeah, also when this owner, just to show the character of his dealings with the city, and that's, he had all the tenants, or several of the tenants evicted, saying that he was going to move in. He never moved in, but yet he evicted the tenants, and they all had to find somewhere else to work. In this neighborhood, we don't want to see this kind of density plaguing our neighborhood. That's it. And I urge you to reject this and refuse this application.
Okay, thank you, sir. Any questions of the speaker? There being none, we'll go back to the agent. Mr. Agapon, are you there?
Mr. Chair, before we move on, I'd like to communicate that the R. Davis that would like to speak against the file
Okay, thank you. Okay.
has been told to register in a manner that they would be shown as R. Davis, and yet they have not done so yet.
So you want me to go back and?
We do have someone called Rob on here that we could try if you'd like.
I'll just. Rob, are you there?
Yes, I am.
Is your last name Davis?
Yes, my last name is
Okay,
Davis.
all right, sir.
Going forward, please make sure you register with the name you've communicated to the committee staff so we know to call upon you.
My mistake. Okay, thank you.
Can I,
Well,
okay, sir, can I get your full name and address, please?
Yeah, my name's Robin Davis. I live at 84 Indian Road, so I'm I'm actually connected to this, the house in question.
Okay, sir, if you'd like to give us your views on this application?
So thanks, firstly, for letting me speak. Firstly, I can say that the person that's living in the basement is absolutely not a
Sir,
family
can you
friend.
speak up?
I've talked.
Sir,
Yeah,
can
can
you
you hear
speak
me
up?
a little better now?
Yes.
So I can say that the person living in the basement is absolutely not a family friend. Since I've talked to him, he doesn't even know the landlord's name. I've lived here for 7 years, and during that time, there's never been anyone in the basement. Randy, who lives next door, has been here longer, and I think he said the same thing. I'll get to the points that were brought up in the application. As sort of highlighted, parking around here is incredibly tight. Very few houses in the area have driveways. Most residents have to park on the street. I've found it to be one of the hardest places in the city to find street parking. Secondly, as noted before, the parking space in the back on the plans is actually shorter than the city requires by 3.1 feet. City requires 8.8 meters, which is 28.9 feet. This one's 25.8. And on top of that, the parking spot that's in the back already has 2 vehicles parked on it. One is parked at the foot of a fire escape, which I imagine is a fire code violation too. They're requesting to almost double the square footage of this place, going from the allowed 45% to 71. As the person who lives next door, I don't find this reasonable. It's also not clear in their letter of support, it's not clear what the people thought they were signing, as the original petition is not shown here. I also have my doubts on the legitimacy of it, because firstly, who's going door to door to ask strangers to sign a petition for somebody building a 4th unit during a global pandemic? Secondly, who on earth is opening their doors to take a sheet of paper and probably a pen of a total stranger during this time? On top of all this, if it's in fact legitimate, it's currently illegal under the Toronto's physical distancing emergency bylaw. So by even showing the petition, they're admitting to either breaking the law, and it's obvious that people have physically signed it because the writing and signatures overlap in some spots. So it's either it was done in total contradiction to an emergency bylaw, or the signatures have been forged. It's also important to note, I know one of the residents of the address listed on Indian Road, and that's not the name that's listed on there. My kid goes to daycare with them. 4 of the other houses on there are rental properties with multiple units. At least one of them has sold in the past few weeks. So, as you guys know, many renters are transient, have, in most cases, don't have long-term roots in the area. And since many of the multi-unit rentals, the signature of the person may not accurately represent everyone of that property. So I think that's important to note. I'm a resident, I'm a neighbor. I'm concerned about a number of things that should be considered, I would hope. I understand, having spoken with the building inspector, that this place was constructed and rented out in direct violation of a City of Toronto order to remove the basement unit, and the city is currently taking them to court, from what the city inspector told me. The inspector also directed me to the fire chief, a lady named Tammy Heleno, who mentioned they had received a complaint and attempted to enter the building multiple times to inspect it, but have been denied entry each time into the building to make sure it's up to code for a fourplex. Even though it is a fourplex, there's already people living there. I know one of the renters actually mentioned to me that the fire department showed up trying to do this inspection, but obviously he only rents one apartment, so he can't let him into the whole thing. There's been noise complaints, noise issues going back to October 18th, 2018, when they were doing construction at midnight. There's been countless times where the tenants have been playing very loud dance music, weekends, weekdays, all hours of the day for almost 2 years. I'd contacted the owners, the tenants, and even contacted the city about it, which ultimately called the owner. The city had asked me to keep a log of the occurrences. I guess the bylaw changed for that, but the log they asked me to keep, I still have, with well over 30 occurrences. I live beside this place. I have 2 infant kids, and they're tough enough to get to sleep without booming dance music at all hours of the day, or a table saw going at midnight, which has happened multiple times. More importantly, I'm very concerned that this doesn't meet fire code. And I assume the reason the fire department has been denied entry into it multiple times is because of this. It may not meet fire code. In fact, almost certainly doesn't. If this place burns down, it can easily take my house and my kids with it. I'd like to add that none of the neighbors have had discussions with this owner about this proposed application. Even though the owner doesn't live there, it would have been prudent at least to contact and consider the neighbor's opinion on this matter. It's also important to note this application is to seek city approval for a unit that has been built and rented out for over a year, and the person who rents it out does not know.
Okay, sir, can you
who this
summarize,
owner
please?
is. I'm against this. I'm against this for the reasons I have listed above.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
We'll go back to any questions of the speaker. We'll go back to the agent. Are you there, sir?
Yes, sir. I'm here.
Yeah, you've heard the comments from the previous speakers. They're making some pretty serious accusations against you, sir, that you're actually not living there, and that secondly, that this unit's been there for some time illegally, and that you won't let access to the fire department. But that's not, that's part of their issues, but certainly address their other concerns vis-a-vis your request for the variances.
Yep. Okay. So basically, everything that they are talking about is correct because the fire, especially with the fire department that he's talking about, the entry thing, was they have building permit to do all the construction. They have electrical safety. They have the building department. They have the fire department that all reviewed the application when it was first submitted back in 2018. We have the first phase building permit given to us. We were granted to put a bathroom in the basement, a wet bar, and everything in the basement. So everything in the basement was granted to be there. Fire department being in the building, they've done their report. I did send the copy of the email that was sent out from the building, the fire department, for them to actually see it online. We also ended up getting the copy. I have a copy of the electrical safety for that too. And the fire protection, such as fire drywalls, fire doors and everything, smoke alarms and everything, all of them are in compliance. Windows, everything is all in compliance. The only issue is we don't have the GFA coverage for the lot. That's the biggest one. And then they keep talking about how this particular issue hasn't been there. But I'm giving you a date which goes back in March 13th, 1997, this same application went to OMB, trying to get the basement legalized so we could prevent issues such as this, because it's been there for quite a very long time. This is not just an overnight. My client is just trying to make it better and improve the area and also make it safe for the neighborhood. And that's what they've been trying to do. The complaint that they're talking about, long grass and all that kind of stuff, that was not under my client's watch. It was under a different person's watch, but yeah, it's being blamed to my client. And then they're talking about the parking. Parking, you can park in that in the parking spot because the actual laneway itself allows you to back into the driveway, or you can actually go in there because people drive their vehicles in the laneway itself. So I don't know how they're talking about it's impossible to park over there neither, which we've been granted parking there. That's the only parking for this particular property. And we were just trying to solve some of the rental issues that we've been having in Toronto itself, especially in High Park. I do a lot of work around those areas, and there are a lot of illegal units around those areas that people are dying to even legalize it now, because I'm getting those phone calls too, to get onto those ones. So if you guys could help us solve some of these issues, then being a problem to neighbors and not making them feel safe in your own homes, we would greatly appreciate that.
Okay, thank you, sir. Can I ask, do you actually live in this building?
I'm just the agent. I don't live in the building, no.
Which floor?
I don't live in the building. I'm
He
just
doesn't
the
live,
agent.
that's what I thought he said. Okay, so you actually don't live in the building?
No, I don't.
Okay, thank you. So it's essentially it's an essentially apartment building.
Basically, we've been there for quite a long time, and we're just trying to solve the same issue over and
Okay,
over.
thank you. Any questions of the speaker? Thank you. We've heard no further speakers. There are no recommended conditions from city staff or comments on it. Could I get a motion on the application, please? Ms. Sankar?
Mr. Chair, sometimes when you hear of these sort of complex applications, you really have to think carefully about it. I'm hearing from the neighbors who have provided really compelling arguments, and they're the ones that actually live there. So it's really important that I consider that. And looking at the application in terms of just sort of the building code, the fire, all of that, that's not what's before me. What's before me really is around the combined interior floor space that does not meet the minimum requirements, as well as that one parking space. Too little. For me, I don't believe that this actually meets the character of the neighborhood. I don't see it as minor. And I think that, coupled with real life testimony of people that live there, I'm not comfortable saying okay to this application. So I'm going to put forward a motion to refuse this application.
Thank you, Ms. Sankar. Someone to second Ms. Sankar's motion. Mr. Hunt seconds that motion. All those in favor? That motion carries unanimously. Sir, your application has been unanimously refused. Thank you very much, sir. Item number 7, 72 Parkway Avenue. I have 2 people registered to speak. I have Mr. Paul Lowe's as the agent. Sir, are you there? Mr. Lowe's, are you there?
I am here.
Yes, thank you, sir. I have one other person registered to speak, so I know that you have actually just one variance before us relating to the ancillary building. If you could give us a very brief presentation on what you see as the merits of your proposal.
Certainly, Mr. Chairman and members of the committee. You will note that we have a full 28 neighbors in support of this application, and that's a list attached to our covering letter of October 23rd, as well as additional ones that were submitted on October 28th and 29th. Those include our 2 adjacent neighbors to the north, 3 adjacent to the south, 4 across Parkway, and 2 on Lind.
Mr. Paul Lowe's and Chair and members, sorry to interrupt. I just want to bring to your attention that the neighbor that wanted to speak against the file is not present.
Oh, I see. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Wills. Mr. Lowe's, thank you very much. I think the committee's very clear on what you're asking for in the variance. I won't ask you to go through that. I'll just ask the committee. Again, there is no one else registered to speak on this item. We have no recommended conditions or city comments on this application. Does the committee have any questions of the speaker? There being none, if I could get a motion on the application, please. Mr. Hunt?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I believe that given the support of the most affected neighbors, notwithstanding that this is an increase, I would move to approve this application.
Thank you, Mr. Hunt. Someone to second that motion? Mr. Kidd seconds. All those in favor? That motion carries. Sir, your application's been unanimously approved without condition. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, members.
Thank you. Item number 8, 317 Indian Road. I have 2 people registered to speak, and the agent is Cyril Foch. I hope I've spelled.
Yeah.
Sir, can I get your full name and address, please?
Yeah, I'm here, Cyril Foch at 55 Regent Park Boulevard.
Okay, thank you very much, sir. If you could give us, I have 1 person registered to speak on this item, and I'll just ask Mr. Wills. Mr. Wills, I had 1 person registered to speak. Is that person there?
They are present.
Okay, thank you. Sir, if you could give us a brief presentation on what you see are the merits of your request for an increase in the floor space index.
Yeah, sure. So first of all, good morning, Mr. and all the members of the committee. I'm the designer and the owner agent for this project. We are proposing to add 2 new side dormer. If we are referring to the architectural drawings, maybe the sheet A23, if you can, yeah.
It's en route.
Do that. Okay. So we are proposing to add 2 new dormers to the back of the existing 2.5-story house. The existing 3rd story, as you is already an habitable space with an office, a master bedroom, and some closet. The proposed new dormers on each side will just create more headroom and much more usable space. The intent is to create an ensuite and some additional storage. The proposed addition has triggered only 1 variant, the FSI, that I'd like to speak briefly about. As you can see, the existing 3rd floor area is 56 square meters. The 3rd floor proposed modification will be 85 square meters. So the difference is 29 square meters, and out of these 29 square meters, 30% of it represents space behind the knee walls that was previously inaccessible. It is quite nominal. Throughout the design process, the homeowners were extremely focused on proposing an appropriate massing. If you look at the side elevation, sheet A42, maybe, yeah. As you can see, the 2 new dormers are located at the back of the exit roof. For this reason, the dormer will not be visible from the street, so it will have a limited impact on the existing streetscape. If you look at the back of the house as well, you can see that we offset from about 1 meter from the existing roof edge. That will also participate in limiting the visual impact on the of the 3rd floor from the rear yard. If you also look at the sheet A41, you can see that this offset helps maintain the current gable shape of the main roof. And if you look also at the section 2, sheets A31, I think you can see as well that the owner agreed that part of the new ceiling will be sloped to reduce, as you can see, it's a limited ceiling height, 8 foot, and part of the ceiling will be sloped in order as well to limit the visual impact. We really went to the minimum for required by the Ontario Building Code as well. And finally, I'd like to mention that we are not triggering any variants such as the building height or the height of the main walls, because we are trying to limit the visual impact of these 2 new dormers. So we think the proposed floor space index variance is minor in nature.
Okay, thank you, sir. I wanted to just ask if you've had the opportunity, I forgot to mention this at the beginning, if you had the opportunity to read the city planning report of the
Yes.
19th of October. They're recommending that if they seem to have no objections to your application, but they're recommending that if it's approved, that the rear third-story deck shall be constructed with opaque privacy screening or fencing that is permanent, located along the north and south edges of the deck to a minimum height of 1.5 meters measured from the floor of the deck. Have you had the opportunity to read that report, sir?
Yes, and the owner will comply with
Thank you, sir.
this condition.
I'll just ask the committee, does it have any questions of the speaker? Okay, thank you. We'll go to our next registered speaker. I have Sava Miokovic. I hope I pronounced that correctly. Are you there?
I am there. Sorry, it looks like there might have been a bit of a filing
So, sir,
mishap.
before you start, can I get your full name and address, please?
Sure, Sava Miokovic from 92 DeForest Road, Toronto, Ontario.
Okay, sir, if you could give us your views on this application.
I fully support the application, but just to clarify, I'm Cyril's colleague, and there was a bit of a mix-up in transferring over who would be presenting today.
Okay, so
Cyril is, yeah.
Okay, so you're in support of the application.
Correct.
Okay, thank you. Does the committee have any questions of the speaker? There being none, we have no other persons registered to speak on this application, and the only city comments we have are from city planning. If I could get a motion on this application, please. Mr. Kidd?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. In my view, the requested variants are minor in nature and appropriate for this property. I'd like to put forward a motion to accept the application, subject to the recommendation that subject to the condition rather, that the rear third-story deck shall be constructed with opaque privacy screening or fencing that is permanent, located along the north and south edges of the deck to a minimum height of 1.5 meters measured from the floor of the deck.
Thank you, Mr. Kidd. Someone to second that motion? Mr. Hunt seconds. All those in favor? That motion carries unanimously. Sir, your application has been unanimously approved, subject to city planning conditions.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Item number 9, 237 Warren Road. I have one person registered to speak, a Maggie Bassani. Are you there, madam?
Yes, good morning, Chair.
Yes, thank you, madam. If I could get your full name and address, please.
It's Maggie Bassani at 181 Bay Street here on behalf of the applicant.
Okay, thank you. We have one variance before us. It's about the Hammerhead driveway. I just wanted to ask, there was an indication on the plan, madam, that you're stopping up and closing the redundant driveway. Is that correct?
Yes, as part of the proposed reconfiguration of the driveway, we would be eliminating one of the existing accesses off to Warren Road.
Okay, and you'll be replacing that with curb and landscaping, correct?
Yes, so that there would no longer be the curb cut.
Okay, thank you very much. I'll just ask the committee, we have no other persons registered to speak on this item, and we have no comments or recommended conditions from staff. If I could get a motion on the application, please. Ms. Sankar?
Yeah, through you, Mr. Chair, I do believe it's minor in nature and appropriate for the development of that area, and I'll put forward a motion to approve this application.
Thank you, Ms. Sankar.
And it will be, sorry?
I'm sorry, Ms. Sankar, I interrupted. I'm sorry.
Yes, that's it.
Okay, thank you. Someone to second Ms. Sankar's motion? Mr. Hunt seconds. All those in favor? That motion carries unanimously. Madam, your application has been unanimously approved without condition. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Item number 10, 93 Hillcrest Drive. I have one person registered to speak. That is the agent, Lewis Battiston. Are you there, sir?
I'm here.
Yes, thank you, sir.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, sir. I noticed that you have two variances before us, one for building length and the other for FSI. I think the committee's pretty clear on what you're asking for. I'll just ask the committee if it has any questions or comments or would like a presentation. Please, committee, please note the only recommended condition we have on this application is from urban forestry. If I could get a motion on the application, please. Mr. Hunt? Oh, Mr. Hunt, we can't hear you. Mr. Hunt, we've lost your voice.
Okay.
Oh, there you are.
Okay. Sorry about that. Mr. Chair, I would move approval of this application subject to the standard conditions of urban forestry.
Thank you, Mr. Hunt. Someone to second Mr. Hunt's motion. Ms. Sankar seconds. All those in favor? The motion carries unanimously. Sir, your application's been unanimously approved, subject to urban forestry conditions.
Thank you.
Thank you. Item number 11, which is 228 LISGAR Street. I have one person registered to speak, Timothy Mitanidis. I hope I pronounced that correctly. Sir, are you there?
Yes, I am. Perfect pronunciation.
Yes, thank you, sir. If I could get your full name and address, please.
Yeah, it's Timothy Mitanidis. The address is 113 Wolseley Street.
Okay, thank you, sir. I just wanted to let the committee know we have no city comments on this application or recommended conditions. We have 4 variances before us, sir, and I think the committee's pretty clear on what you're asking for. I'll just ask the committee if it has any questions or comments or would like a presentation. Okay, there being none, we have no other persons registered to speak on this item. If I could get a motion on this application, please. Mr. Kidd?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I feel the requested variances are minor in nature and appropriate for this neighborhood. I'd like to forward a motion to accept the application.
Thank you, Mr. Kidd. Could I get someone to second that motion? Ms. Sankar seconds. All those in favor? That motion carries unanimously. Sir, your application has been unanimously approved without condition. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you. Item number 12, 13 Ellsworth Avenue. I have one person registered to speak. And I note that there appear to be no staff comments or recommended conditions from any city divisions on this application. The agent is Mr. Michael Scott. Are you there, sir?
I am.
Okay, thank you, sir. Pretty clear what you're asking for in the 4 variances that we have before us. I think it's the committee's pretty clear on what you're asking for. I'll just wanted to ask, sir, I noticed on condition number 3, they indicated that there may be a potential encroachment into the City of Toronto road allowance for a portion of the stairs. Is that correct?
That is. The owner met with transportation services from the City of Toronto, and they indicated that they had no concerns with it.
Okay. Because I remember that things like stairs are permitted encroachments in the right-of-way, so you're good that way. Anyway, I have no further questions. I'll just ask the committee, does it have any questions on the application? There being none, we have no other persons registered to speak on this item, and we have no recommended staff conditions. Could I get a motion on the application, please? Ms. Sankar?
Yes, through you, Mr. Chair. I do believe that it is minor in nature upon review of this application. I do believe that it's desirable and appropriate for the development of the land. So I'll put forward a motion to approve this application.
Thank you, Ms. Sankar. Someone to second that? That motion carries unanimously, sir. Your application's been unanimously approved without condition. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Thank you. Item number 13. That is 15 Greenlaw Avenue. I have two people registered to speak. Nelson Espinola appears to be the agent. Are you there, sir?
Yes, I am, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, thank you, sir. We have one other person who wishes to speak on this item, so if you could give us, I know you have one variance before us related to the floor space index. So if you could give us a brief presentation on what you see as the merits of your proposal.
Yes, basically, we had gone to committee of adjustments previously for a gross floor area, and during construction, the owner felt that it would be to his benefit in this family to have the second floor slightly bigger by cantilevering it approximately 2 feet. That would translate in a floor space index as going from 61 to 65%, which was an increase of approximately 12.5 square meters. And this is the reason why we're back to committee adjustments here.
Okay, thank you, sir. Does the committee have any questions of the speaker? Okay, thank you. We'll go to the next person registered to speak on this item. It's John Inglis. Are you there?
Yes, I am. Can you
Yes,
hear me?
Mr. Inglis, can I get your full name and address, please?
So, John, John, Inglis, Inglis, and it's 45 Dunfield Avenue, Unit 1501, postal code M4S2H4.
Okay, thank you, sir. Can I get your views on this application, please?
So I'm acting as agent for Amandio Santos, who lives next door, lives west of the subject property. He wanted to give the presentation today, and he thought he was registered to speak, but unfortunately it seems he was not. So his address is 11 Greenlaw, and he asked the committee to reject the application because it's missing variances. And all the variances need to be considered together at one time, especially as they compound the effect of the oversized density of the house. The application is missing variances for an external kitchen vent, overhanging eaves, an external canopy, insufficient landscaped area, encroaching planter box. And I'll briefly go through these, which you can actually see from the incomplete or inaccurate plans that were submitted, but some of these you can see anyway. So for the vent pipe, the house used to have a kitchen vent pipe on the opposite side of the house, and it now vents towards Mr. Santos' house. And the drawings don't show that the owner has put a vent pipe from his kitchen on the east side of his house out through the side wall and along the west side of the building. The pipe X right by his garage door, and the kitchen and other smells make it actually unusable at times when he wants to do work inside the garage. If you look at drawing A3 and you look at the rear of the house where it says kitchen, and you can see where it says existing solid masonry brick wall, you can see that there's a measurement between the side of the house and the property line, and it says 7.5 inches. Now, the side yard is supposed to be 0.9 meters or roughly 3 feet, but you're allowed to encroach with vents and pipes as long as there's at least 0.3 meters or about 1 foot from the property line. Well, the entire distance is 7.5 inches, and the pipe's about 6 inches in diameter. So it clearly doesn't meet the bylaw standards, and nothing was ever requested for this. So he needs to come back with a plan that includes that, because it contributes to the problems with this house. And at the front of the house, there is a gas pipe that's also not shown on the plans. And the gap between the house and the property line at this point is shown on that drawing. A3 is about 1 foot 8 3/4 inches. And if you go to where it says living room, and you go to the front corner where it says side lot line, you'll see that the distance is 1 foot 8 3/4 inches. The house is not exactly square on the lot. And the pipe sticks out quite far from the wall and seems to be less than a foot from the property line. And this is a danger because of the sloped roof and overhanging eaves and downspout that drains in this area create icy conditions on the driveway. Mr. Santos' car's already slid into this corner of the house and sustained damage, and it didn't hit this gas pipe only because of a large permanent concrete stone block planter that was built on the property line, and that planter is not shown on the plans and also causes variance problems. And I can give you the citations or references for the zoning bylaw provisions if you want. Now, in the next issue, the eaves, there's a similar problem with the eaves. As you see, the house is only 19 centimeters from the property line at the rear. And if you look at drawing A8, and that's the rear of the house. And on the left side where it says property line, that's the property line to Mr. Santos' property. And you go up and you see the overhanging eave actually touches the property line. So it's not only within the side yard, it's beyond the permitted encroachment area. And that variance has never been asked for. When in the previous application, which was approved for some variances, this was not asked for. Conditions right out on that driveway, right outside his side door of his house. An answered roof would prevent the icicles and water, or if the variance were granted, then conditions like, I don't know, heated eaves or a heated side of the roof so that it doesn't get water drained. Plus, where the downspout comes, it goes straight into the ground,
can you summarize,
and it's not
please?
sealed. It's just open, and consequently, it overflows on a drain hole in the driveway, and more water goes over.
Sir, can you summarize?
Causes more ice. Thirdly, if
Sir,
you look
can you
at drawing
summarize, please?
A7 and also drawing A4, but mostly A7 will be sufficient. There are no windows shown on that second floor.
Sir?
But in fact,
Sir?
he built a window on
Sir,
the second
can you
floor.
summarize, please? Your 5 minutes is up.
Okay, so he didn't ask, he has a window that he hasn't
Sir,
shown,
thank you very much. I have a question, sir. Before, we have only one variance before us. We have no comments from any city agency that any variances have been missed. We have just one variance before us relating to the floor space index. No other variances appear to be required. And there are no comments from city staff saying that they've missed any variances. Okay, so I just want to make sure that you're clear on that. Any questions of the speaker? I'll go back to, we have no other speakers registered. We'll go back to the agent. Sir, are you there? Mr. Espinola, are you there?
Yes, I am.
Yeah, you've heard the comments from the previous speaker. Would you like to, he's indicating that you've missed some variances. Can you please advise the committee whether that's the case?
Well, the other two variants that are related to this project is in terms of length and side yard setback, and that was covered on the first Committee of Adjustment approval. The only variance that we're going for at this point is just with relation to a floor space index, and like I mentioned before, we're going from 61 to 65%, which is an increase of approximately 12.56 square meters.
And if I understand you correctly, sir, that's because of the cantilevering of the second floor over okay.
That's exactly it, yes.
Okay, thank you. Are there any questions of the speaker? There being none, we have, please note that there are no recommended conditions from city staff or any city agency. So if I could get a motion on this minor variance application, please, Ms. Sankar.
Yes, through you, Mr. Chair. I just want to state that variances are identified by the building department, and as such, any sort of building code issues or anything that would be missed would have to be identified and dealt with at the permit stage. And so with that, looking at the application as is, I do believe it meets the 4 tests. It does seem to me to be minor in nature upon review, and I'll put forward a motion to approve this application.
Thank you, Ms. Sankar. Someone to second that motion? Mr. Kidd seconds. All those in favor? That motion carries. Sir, your application's been unanimously approved without condition.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Our next application is item number 14, 495 Jones Avenue. I have one person registered to speak. The agent is a Joanne Ying. Are you there, madam?
Yes, I am. Good morning,
you.
Mr. Chair and committee member.
Thank you very much, madam. We have no other persons registered to speak on this item, and I note that there are no comments or recommended conditions from city staff. Madam, I think the committee's very clear on what you're asking for in the 3 variances. I'll just ask the committee if it has any questions or would like a presentation. There being none, and we have no other persons registered to speak on this item, so if I could get a motion on the application, please. Mr. Kidd?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I believe the proposal meets the general intent of the Planning Act and meets the 4 tests. For minor variance, I'd like to put forward a motion to accept the application.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Kidd.
Thank you, Mr. Kidd.
Someone to second
Thank
Mr.
you,
Kidd's
Mr. Chair.
motion? Ms. Sankar seconds. All those in favor? That motion carries. Madam, your application's been unanimously approved without condition. Thank you. Item number 15, 408 Roncesvalles Avenue. I have one person registered to speak. That's Richard Wengel. He's the agent. Mr. Wengel, are you
Mr.
there?
Chair. I'm here, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
Yes, Mr. Wengel, it's very, I note that there are no recommended conditions or any comments from city staff on your application, and I think the committee is very clear on the 2 variances that you're asking for, one for the location of the proposed structure from the south lot line and the main wall setback. I'll just ask the committee if it has any questions or comments or would like a presentation. Ms. Sankar?
Through you, Mr. Chair, just a quick question. I do see, and I'm not sure if it is correct, I'm seeing something around heritage report. And I'm not finding that it's very clear to me.
Who's in the building?
Oh, I'm sorry. Thank you.
And so it's not very clear to me whether or not, because it's saying it's not designed under Section 29 of the Heritage Act, but it's saying that there is potential. Heritage potential in, the Dundas-Ronsonville urban design guidelines. And I just wanted to understand that a little bit better because I'm not seeing that it is saying yay or nay. And I want to understand the emphasis of heritage on this property.
It's, yeah,
Mr.
I
Chair?
think you're correct, Ms. Sankar. It's just an information report, so there's no recommended condition. It's just telling us their thoughts on it. I'll just ask Mr. Wengel, have you had the opportunity to see that report from the Heritage staff?
Yes, Mr. Chair. This is an older report. We've had discussions for 1.5 years. We actually do have a building permit for what we are proposing. The only difference was that there was a window that was uncovered during demolition that we wanted to put in, and that was it. It's an original window that was boarded up. That's the purpose of this variance. But we do actually we've gone through zoning reviews, and we do have a building permit for what we were doing. So we have satisfied Heritage staff.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Wengel. Ms. Sankar, would you have any further questions on that? Okay, thank you.
No, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Any further questions of the speaker? Again, please note we have no other persons registered to speak on this item. Could I get a motion on the application, please? Ms. Sankar?
Okay, with that explanation of heritage, that it is really just an information report and there's no hard lines in terms of, whether this is deemed a heritage property or not, and the explanations provided by the applicant here today, I'll put forward a motion to approve this application.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Sankar. Someone to second that motion? Mr. Hunt seconds. All those in favor? That motion carries unanimously. Mr. Wengel, your application has been unanimously approved without condition.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Item number 16, 310 Wright Avenue. 310 Wright Avenue. I have one person registered to speak. That is the agent, Tony Valentin. Sir, are you there?
Sir, are you there?
Sir, having trouble hearing you.
Sir, having trouble hearing you. Hello?
Sir, we can't hear you. Do you have other audio devices on?
Tony Valentio, if you are listening via YouTube and the WebEx event, please shut down the YouTube event and we can hear feedback on your end.
Mr. Valentin, are you there?
Mr. Valentin, are you there? Yes, yes. Can you hear me?
I can hear you, but you have
I can hear you, but
you have another audio. Are you listening to another audio device or listening to YouTube at the same time you're talking to us? Because we're getting an echo.
We're getting an echo. Okay, hold on a minute. Maybe it's my phone. We have turned it off. But can you hear me now?
Yes, that's better. Can you speak up too?
Yes, that's better. Can you speak up too? Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Okay. Sir, I wanted to ask before we start if you've had the opportunity to read the city planning report of the 23rd of October, where they appear to be okay with your application, but they're recommending that if it's approved, that the front basement walkout shall be screened with soft landscaping on the east and west edges of the railing. Have you had the opportunity to read that report, sir?
I don't have that report, but we are willing to comply.
Sir,
with
can
all
you
the
speak up,
requirements
please?
of the plan. Sir, can you speak, please? I said we are willing to comply with all the requirements of the city.
Okay, thank you. Pretty clear what you're asking for in the two variances before us. We have no other persons registered to speak on the application. I'll just ask the committee if it has any questions or concerns or would like a presentation. Being none, could I get a motion on the application, please? Mr. Hunt?
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Excuse me. I think the application is fairly straightforward, and I think the variances requested are minor in nature. And subject to the staff planning report recommendation, the front basement walkout shall be screened with soft landscaping on the east and west edges of the railing. I would move approval of this application.
Thank you, Mr. Hunt. Someone to second Mr. Hunt's motion? Ms. Sankar seconds. All those in favor? That motion carries unanimously. Sir, your application has been unanimously approved, subject to city planning conditions. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank
Folks, could I get a motion to terminate? That was our last item.
Oh.
Mr. Hunt, thank you. We're closed. Thank you, folks. That was great. As usual, you were fantastic. Have a great day,
Happy
everybody.
Halloween, everybody.
Take care, folks.
Take care. Bye.